Welcome to Metal Talk from Metal Coffee Shop. My name's Karen Edwards, and I'm happy to be here today to talk about selling metal roofing profitably. And whether you're just getting started or you've been doing it for a while, we're going to have some great information and some resources for you today. Just a couple of things before we get started. We are recording this and it will be available on demand within 24 hours, probably even later today. So please be sure to share this with your colleagues, your company, your team members, anybody that you think would benefit from this. And also our chat is going to be open the entire time. So please take a minute, let us know who you are, your company, where you're from, what part of the country. And if you have questions, please drop them in that chat box because we're going to be sure to answer those questions for you toward the end of the webinar. So today our topic is selling metal roofing profitably. Our presenter is Dominic Caminata from Grosso University. Dominic, I am so excited to have you here today. Welcome.
I'm excited to be here, Karen. Appreciate it. Nice to see everybody here. And I just want to commend you on taking time out of your day to invest in your future. So it's a phenomenal program. So you're going to really enjoy the information.
So Dominic, I've got your picture and your bio up here, but tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Karen. And I just want to say thank you to Metal Coffee Shop for, of course, giving Grosso University the opportunity to provide information on exactly what it is that we do and kind of the overall Metal View program as a whole. But I'm the owner and founder of Grosso University. So Grosso University is a sales training and business development consulting company in the home improvement industry. So the story of Grosso University goes quite a ways back. It actually goes back to over 4 decades ago when a gentleman by the name of Rick Grosso got into the home improvement industry. He first started off growing his own retail operation selling windows. And a lot of people don't know this, Karen, but Rick Grosso, my mentor, actually built the largest window company in the country at the time, which doesn't seem like much by today's standards, but he was doing over 30 million in replacement windows in like the early 80s.
Wow.
And he was following a one-call close methodology. And Rick Grosso, he was famous for saying that if you steal information from one person, it's plagiarism, but if you steal it from everybody, it's research. But he was very much a student of the art of the in-home sale. And he had a lot of mentors and coaches and went to every seminar. And he was able to put together one of the most impactful and powerful 10-step sales selling systems. And that's what he used to grow his own retail operation. Then after he sold his business, he got off on his own to be a consultant and became one of the most legendary, well-known sales trainers and business consultants in the home improvement industry. And he held that title literally for decades. As a matter of fact, even today, some of the largest, most profitable window, roofing, siding, exterior remodeling companies follow the Grosso methodology or some version of that methodology. So when I first entered the industry in 2010, I got a job at Mad City Windows. Some people may have heard of Mad City Windows in Bass. And it was actually my first sales job ever, believe it or not. And I'm grateful to this day that when I first entered that business, they were following the Grosso 10-step sales system. And me not knowing anything about sales, not even knowing how to close the door with the wind behind me, just following this paint by numbers system step by step. My first 3 years, I was the top salesman in my organization, the first $1 million producer. And I've always had a passion for training and coaching. So I was able to master this system to such a point where I was able to get in that leadership role at Mad City. And within about 7 years, I grew the sales team from doing 10 million a year to doing well over 100 million a year. And literally it was to the point where if you were a $2 million producer on my team, you're kind of at the bottom of the leaderboard. You actually had very few people between you and the goal. Part of my motivation for growing that sales army and making it one of the most high performance sales teams in the industry was I had my mind made up early in my career that I didn't just want to master the Grosso system. I wanted to take over Rick Grosso's legacy. And I made it a point every time I met Rick Grosso, every time I saw him, just say, hey, just so you know, if and when you're ready to retire, I'm first in line to take over your legacy. So I plant that seed over and over. And it was in 2019, he had his last ever closers camp. Those of you that know closers camps are world famous sales training competitions that Rick Grosso used to host every single year. And I used to go there pretty regularly. but he held his last ever closers camp in Washington, D.C. So I flew down there. Closers camp is a competition. So first thing I did was mop the floor with everybody there. Proved once and for all that nobody knows this stuff better than me. And then I took Rick Grosso himself out to a French bistro to dinner. Got him some wine, got him feeling good. And I let him know, just so you know, the reason why I'm here is because I'm taking over your legacy. So very assumptive, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the most important propositions is the assumptive close in in-home sales. So we train reps to be very assumptive. And his response was, I couldn't think of anybody better.
Wow.
So that was kind of the founding of Grosso University. It was in 2019. And since then, we've been working literally countless hours to build the most comprehensive online sales training platform the industry has ever seen. We actually have hundreds of hours of sales training content housed in our online university. And now we have sales associates and coaches, where literally Grosso University is becoming the official training arm for many companies all around the country. So essentially, if you want to grow and scale a sales army, but don't have a designated sales trainer or don't know where to begin, we essentially now take over that for companies.
I was just going to ask you, the bullet point up here is why does it work? How, it's magic, it seems, but what's behind it that makes it work?
So there's a lot of psychology and of course, based on human behavior and how people make decisions, a lot of emotional based selling. But the big thing about our paint by numbers system or our step selling sales methodology is we're big on the masterful presentation, front loading the process, getting it to the green. So the close becomes the natural conclusion. We always say the best close in the world is a masterful presentation. Well, part of that masterful presentation is having the exercise where we're like, okay, Karen, what are all the possible objections that we can get in the close? So we start there and then we're like, okay, we know that the best way to overcome any objection is to bring it up first and overcome it before it becomes an issue in the close. So how can we design a step selling system where it brings up any and all possible objections in the presentation so we overcome those? So more often than not, when I'm trying to earn a prospect's business, I'm focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's affordability. So more often that affordability should be the only thing standing in the way. So that's how our system's engineered. So literally through our introduction and our needs assessment and our measure and inspection process, company story, every step to our sale, we're looking for the opportunity, of course, to fish out any hidden objections they may have, bring up all the most common objections early on, and squashing those like killing a flea with a sledgehammer throughout the sales encounter. So that by the time I'm to the close, not only is the customer excited about moving forward and eager, they actually want to do it. They're not even concerned about the price at that point. They're more concerned, can I afford it on a month-to-month basis? Can I fit into my budget?
Right.
So that's one of the big shifts that I want everyone on this call to think about. When you're selling metal roofing, you cannot be selling on price anymore. So we're not here to win a bidding war with Dan and a van. So we're here to sell on quality, value, superior service, longevity, performance, and affordability. So I actually, when I was riding along with salespeople, Karen, I would make sure that the salespeople were not selling on price in any form of the fashion. We were selling on affordability. So we don't apologize for being more expensive. We brag about it because of all the extra value and the features and benefits and the peace of mind that the homeowner's getting as a result of that.
I think that's hard. That's a hard shift to make for some people. As you call it, you're not taking orders. If you're selling on price, you're taking orders.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so that's the big shift that we're trying to basically implore in this industry is there's a lot of roofers out there. And again, anyone on this call, I'm not naming any names, but there's a lot of roofers out there that maybe they were in the insurance game or storm restoration. Maybe they were forced to sell on price for a long time. And as a result of that, they started selling metal that way. So they started selling metal on price too. And you can't really do that because the benefits of metal are so profound and superior in every category that you need to be able to build a tremendous amount of value so you can sell metal profitably and get the right margin. So again, more than ever, Karen, companies are struggling to find installers. They're struggling to generate leads. Well, guess where all the revenue stems from to hire better installers and to generate more leads? The profitable sales team.
The profit. So yeah, this is a good transition you just made into why metal roofing.
Yep. So metal roofing. This is where I feel like the metal roofing industry is obviously on the right track, but for a long time, it was honestly doing the industry a disservice. Because if you do a survey on homeowners throughout the country, right now about 47% of every single family homeowner is considering metal for their next roof, 47%. So almost half of the roof buying population is considering metal. But the problem is metal roofing only represents 17% share of the market. So where's the disconnect? The disconnect is there's not enough professionals out there that know how to properly build value in metal, and ensuring that that homeowner is not settling for an inferior roof is not going to perform and stand the test of time. So that's one of the big things. So when you sell metal, you're going to be able to offer something truly unique, something where you can build a tremendous amount more value. It's going to give the homeowner a much better finished product that can last 3 to 4 times longer than other roofing solutions in the industry. It's of course sustainable. So the fact that metal is recyclable, so it's really good for this whole green movement that a lot of people are really focused on. And of course, anytime I build a presentation for someone, Karen, there's certain things that I try to focus on to make sure that we can build this presentation masterfully. One is you got to be able to differentiate. So I always train my guys, price only becomes a determining factor if you fail to differentiate. I can't tell you how many companies I talk to that are selling asphalt roofing that have a hard time differentiating, because they know in their mind that there's about 50 other companies in their area that offer a similar roof or the same roof. So they literally tell me this, and we're having a hard time differentiating. When you offer metal, you're going to be able to differentiate yourself and stand out from the competition in a whole different way. Also, human beings are hardwired to desire things that they deem to be more unique and exclusive. That's how human beings make purchases. And a lot of times it's completely unreasonable, but it is what it is. So when you offer a premium metal roofing system, especially if you have a couple options, maybe like a good, better, best system, and because it's such a unique and exclusive value proposition that they're not seeing from the other roofing contractors in their territory, that puts you on a pedestal of professionalism and differentiation that you got to be creative not to be able to walk out earning that customer's business. So I say everybody really wants and desires the benefits of metal. Mm-hmm. It's just because, there's a gap between knowing and doing. People don't know what they don't know. But educating that homeowner and being professional about the art of the in-home sale, you're going to give the homeowner the benefit of the doubt, and they can make the investment they should be in the long-term benefits of a metal roof. But the system needs to be in place in order to make that happen.
Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about that changing behavior. Because you mentioned, this is how we've done it. We've been forced into this pattern. How do we get out of that?
Yep. So now the Grosso University sales methodology, we do an 11-step system is what we train. And I've said it multiple times already on this webinar, but it's a paint by numbers system. So if anybody has done a paint by numbers, you know that you can take a basic artist or somebody that has no artistic capability, and they're able to create masterpieces. And the reason why, it literally tells you step by step, you put this color in this box, this number, match it up. When you look back, you can make masterpieces. And that's what the system allows you to do. When you have all the right systems in place, even someone who's not a natural born sales professional, or maybe someone is not an experienced entrepreneur for that matter, when you have all the systems and the training in place, it allows you to literally build a sales army and to grow and scale your company profitably, and results become predictable and duplicatable. We always say the best salespeople are not born from the womb, they're actually trained to be the best. And what we focus on is how do we train shining stars and not shooting stars? So there's a lot of turnover in this industry, right? Are you familiar with the 80-20 rule, Karen?
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of sales organizations, they're churning over 80% of their reps over and over and over again. It's a revolving door. So we want to flip that upside down and make it so 80% of your sales force is profitable and successful, and you're only churning through maybe 20% or less of your sales reps. And the only way that's possible is if you have the right system, the foundation in place. So that's what we're offering here with the MetalView program, is something that's really never been tackled head on, is building a proven and successful and predictable sales methodology that allows sales reps of all walks of life, strengths and weaknesses, different personality types, as long as they have a decent attitude and work ethic, by following this system, they're going to be able to go in and build such a tremendous amount of value. They're going to be able to sell metal at a very high amount of profitability and revenue over and over again and make a long-lasting career. And that's what the right system will do. So, and obviously, like you say here, the playbook. So we don't just, say, here's your samples, here's your kit, good luck. So we literally have an entire Bible of in-home selling that every salesperson is provided with, that literally takes it from the moment they wake up in the morning to the moment they close the sale, everything in between, exactly how to deliver that masterful presentation and make the close the natural conclusion. We have a whole online video training series that essentially every contractor would get access to, where in lockstep with the training book, it shows them chapter by chapter. It's basically me going through, same necklace, by the way, we're in the same outfit for the training videos, but it goes through the whole Bible of in-home selling chapter by chapter and shows them how to deliver the message and some of the nuances of every step in the sales encounter. So the moment you pull up to the house, what does that door approach look like? How do I take control, become the thermostat, not the thermometer? What does that introduction look like? How do I set the tone for the sales encounter to keep them comfortable and relaxed? How exactly do I go through a proper needs assessment to gather information and carve out that roadmap to the sale, so I can be a chameleon in the house and tailor my masterful presentation to that specific prospect, their needs, wants, and desires? How do I do a proper inspection, a roofing inspection, to make sure I'm creating loads of urgency and getting the homeowner committed to doing the work sooner rather than later? The company story. How do I do such a masterful company story where, regardless of the roofing system that I'm offering, the homeowner is head over heels convinced that we are the company they want doing the work, getting them committed to us, that they trust us to do a good job for them. So then we take them through a whole industry options, a masterful presentation, and of course, the whole closing sequence step by step. So I can take all these people, even people that have never done this before, and turn them into multi-million-dollar performers, making an incredible career for themselves, and of course, bringing in loads of profit and revenue for the business.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love it. So let's talk about growing metal sales and some of the things that are needed to do this.
So now, of course, there's call centers here. It amazes me how many companies are out there that don't have like a designated call center. So the call center and the dispatch team, where all those leads come inbound, and that's kind of the foundation, because the one thing that we say is, if you're out of leads, you're out of business. The call center becomes really one of the most important foundational elements to have a successful sales team, because in a lot of ways they can hold the sales team accountable. So making sure you have a really robust call handler or a group of call handlers that are properly trained and coached and scripted, where they're capitalizing on every inbound and outbound opportunity that comes into your organization. It amazes me, Karen, how many people, they do some sort of advertising, they do some sort of marketing, but yet it takes them 25, 30 minutes to respond to an inquiry, or sometimes several days. So your competition, it's all about speed to lead in this business, right? First one in, last one in. If you're not pouncing on that lead in the first few seconds that they're inquiring about it, you're going to be basically put at the bottom of the totem pole.
Right.
So that's why an efficient call center with all the right technology, and this is stuff that MetalView can steer in the right direction so you can get this stuff taken care of. But an efficient call center is going to be step one, make sure I'm capturing as many leads as possible for my team. Now, of course, sales accountability. I deal with a lot of companies where they're trying to grow and scale a sales army, but there's no set policy and procedures. There's no set documentation or guidelines to hold these teams accountable. So what exactly are you grading your salespeople on? So everyone on this webinar right now, what's the number one metric that you're holding your sales team accountable to? And a lot of people don't even think about this, right? They say, well, closing. Okay. So let's say closing is the only thing that matters to you. And the sales rep's closing. Yeah, there you go. I got someone putting it in there, closing. Let's say closing is your number one metric, which Lord knows at Grosso University, we love closing. We literally have sales events called closers camps, for crying out loud, right?
Yeah.
However, that salesperson is selling every job below cost, and they're order taking. So even if you're a 60% closer, if you're not selling profitably, to me, that's not really being a sales professional, right? So how are you to create a metric and hold the sales rep accountable and making sure that they are profitable for my organization. So here's some free advice. Everyone on the call, you want to take your fully loaded cost of marketing. So what all your marketing costs is, you build in your call center, all your advertising dollars, your fully loaded marketing spend. And you can do this maybe for last year, figure out where you were in 2022. And then you figure out, okay, how many leads did that generate? So how many total issued leads did that generate in 2023? Once I have my total marketing spend and how many leads that generated, you'll be able to figure out what my average cost per an issued lead is. So that's step one. I want to figure out what is my average cost for a fully loaded issued lead. Let's say it's $300, Karen, for example.
Mhm.
So what we train our salespeople to do, and what I train a lot of owners and leaders to do, is ideally you want to keep your marketing budget around 10%. Now, of course, less than 10% is good, especially if you get enough leads. I have some companies we're working with there at 6% marketing spend. 12% is still pretty good. When you're getting to 15, 20, 30%, the red alert should be going off. That's a little too much. But to ensure that your marketing expenditure is in the right position, when we create a benchmark for our salespeople, we actually use what's called NSLI. You familiar with NSLI, Karen?
Net something.
Net sale per lead issued.
lead. Yeah.
Net sale per lead issued, right? So it means every time I give a sales rep a lead on a silver platter, the NSLI tells me how much revenue they're bringing into the company for every issued lead. And the reason why this is the most important metric is this takes into account what their demo rate is, what their closing rate is, what their average sale is, what their retention, whether it be cancellations or credit declines. And when you factor in all those different metrics and KPIs, the final number is NSLI. And what all companies on this call should be striving for is a 10-to-1 ratio on their NSLI versus the cost of an issued lead. So if I'm investing on average, let's say $400 per lead, right? I need to make sure that my NSLI or my slugging average is $4,000. So now for accountability, that gives me a very line in the sand, black and white, plain as day benchmark in which I can hold that team accountable. And then, of course, from there, making sure they have the proper training and the proper system and skills so they can crush that metric, that KPI, especially in metal roofing being such a higher average sale, 30, 40, 50 grand sales is not going to be out of the norm.
Mm-hmm.
They should be dominating that benchmark for NSLI. But that's a good starting point for holding salespeople accountable. Now, of course, I can't hold the sales team accountable unless the system's in place. And this is why the system reigns supreme. If I don't have a clear-cut roadmap to the sale that they're trained on and that they need to be held accountable to, it's like wild, wild west shooting from the hip.
Mm-hmm.
And we deal with this often, Karen, where I'm working with companies that have 100 salespeople and they're doing it 100 different ways. So we give you the roadmap to the sale, and that's really your foundation of accountability. So you're not ripping your hair out like I had to throughout my career. That's why my hair's popped out. But between having the right benchmarks in place and the right system, now you have the framework for holding your team accountable. And just that alone, having those things in place, you'll see your performance rise as a result.
And that, that provides a consistent experience for the customers.
Yes, it does.
It's the same system, the same experience, the same process. I like that. I also like that you said 10% marketing budget, because as a person that has worked many years in marketing, I always struggled to get that number that I needed to be effective. So it's important to look at those numbers and figure that out.
Yeah, and of course, none of this would be possible without the participating manufacturers. So this is obviously near and dear to the heart and soul of MetalView. So the reason why this is even possible is because we had incredible participating manufacturers that stepped up to the plate, made a phenomenal investment to help subsidize some of the costs of building out this whole platform and providing all the data and information and helping alongside with Sherwin-Williams building out their smart build and all the other technologies that are required for generating proposals and accurate information. They're the real reason, and they'll literally go to bat for you as soon as you start working with these manufacturers. They're so hands-on with making sure that all the products and services you offer are going to set your team up for the optimal success, and making sure you're getting the proper sales and installation training. So all these salespeople and installers are getting properly certified. So we don't want to be babysitting people and want to make sure that they have the systems and the process in place. So that's why the manufacturing partnerships are really a foundational element of this entire program and why it even exists to begin with.
Yeah, they
And then
are.
ongoing training. So the last one on the list there. So Grosso University is hands-on throughout the entire process. So in the beginning, when you first sign up with MetalView, you're going to get access to all the stuff we've already built. So we have the most comprehensive online sales training video series the industry's ever seen, specifically for metal. You're going to get the workbook, a bunch of closing tools, but we're also going to work with you specifically one-on-one to make sure that we're customizing this and providing ongoing training and support for your team. So it's not like, here's this generic presentation, figure it out. We're going to be hands-on, making sure we're doing all the heavy lifting for you so you have a smooth launch with your sales team. So you're not left having to build all this stuff out on your own.
I like the lane assist analogy that you used the other day. You're driving down your lane and you get a little too far to the one side, beep, 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 let's get you back in your lane. That's kind of what the ongoing training does. It makes sure that everybody's going down that path like they should be.
Yeah, and it ties back to accountability too. They're kind of both connected in a way, because the last thing you want to do is let a sales rep go months and months and months without getting retrained, without getting re-educated, or without holding them accountable. So what I train leaders to do and owners is tracking those metrics and KPIs like a hawk. I used to do it every morning with my morning coffee, looking at the sales efficiency reports and looking at the NSLI. The second a sales rep dips below your benchmark, you need to swiftly light a fire under their tail. Whether you ride with them, you bring them in for mandatory retraining, you assign a video training from our online training platform. There's a lot of different things you can do, but you're pouncing on that right away, so that sales rep's not drifting so far off course, they're in the cornfield going off road into the woods. So just like a lane assist, you make these corrections as time goes on to make sure they're continuing to go in the same direction, the right direction. Stay on the road.
I love it. So let's our next topic here is the one call close. Does it work in metal?
I've never heard of such a thing.
For such a big purchase, one call.
It's interesting, Karen. Grosso University, my partner at Grosso University is Nick Richmond, and he's the owner of Matrix Home Solutions. They're the #1 design build basement remodeling company in the country. So they've done about 10,000 basement remodeling projects, and his average sale is about $90,000. So he has several basements he sells for multiple six figures. He has salespeople selling $1 million a month in basements. That's their monthly sales. So how many people would like $1 million a month salesperson, right? Hopefully everyone's raising their hand. Guess which system they follow selling design build basements? Take a wild guess.
Yours.
The Grosso University one call close system.
Wow.
So with the right menu of options and the right system in place, you can one call close more than you think. And I'm not saying this in theory. When I was at Mad City, I have experience selling metal shingles and stone coated galvalume steel and enclosed fastener standing seam type operations. We built presentations and programs for all these things. And it was the same thing every time, Karen, where I'd build this in-home presentation, weave it into our system, and our salespeople would hit the road, start selling it like hotcakes. And then the back end of the business, production, they would get buried so quickly. It'd be like an 8-month backlog, and then we'd have to pull it back and stop selling it. And then eventually we had to discontinue it because we couldn't keep up. So that was our biggest problem. And that's why when I first entered this program, obviously I'm confident in my system. I know it works. I'm not talking about any of this in theory. I know that the system works perfectly for one call closing metal. But the biggest thing is making sure they had the back end support that they needed. And when I heard that they, in fact, do literally have the resources where contractors can get help with labor and recruiting new installers and getting those installers trained, I'm like, okay, I'm all in. Let's make this the most incredible thing the industry's ever seen. But I like to say this to salespeople, and I say this with all due respect. And again, every product and service is different. I'm not saying there aren't circumstances where you have to go out more than once. Mm-hmm. But I will say this with confidence that a vast majority of the time when a sales rep earns someone's business on a second visit, with better strategy, that sales rep would have been able to earn their business on the one call close without building any pressure. So here's the myth in the industry. You ready? One call close is high pressure. Anyone ever heard that before?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So the only time one call close is high pressure is when you have an amateur salesperson that is not able to control their disruptive emotions and they're not able to follow and execute the right system. With the right training and the right technique, and of course, this is why preparation is key, and the sales rep being able to develop obstacle immunity and control their disruptive emotions, you can one call close from now to the end of time and never build pressure. So when I was in the house, I used to call myself a velvet sledgehammer because I'm going to the house like I got a buy or die mentality. I know I'm going to earn their business. However, I could literally close these people for hours and they never feel pressure. They're still enjoying my company. I'm still maintaining strong rapport. And even when we get to the better end and I've exhausted all possible options and I have to leave, we're still leaving on good terms. I'm not burning bridges and ticking people off. So we got to understand that the one call close is not the one call close of old school where it used to be just hammering. This is a lot of strategy, a lot of psychology, a lot goes into this where literally the sales rep goes in, they make the close the natural conclusion. The most beautiful part about our system, Karen, is the sales rep is the agent of influence. It influences everything that happens. However, when the sales rep leaves, the homeowner feels and believes it as if it was their decision the whole time. So the best feeling you have is when a customer, when you first meet the customer at the door, and those of you that are on the call can relate to this objection. It's like, just so you know, we're not going to buy anything today. We had another company came in here and tried to get us to buy today. And if you're going to try to pull that BS, you might as well leave. And you say, no problem. The last thing I'd ever ask you to do is move forward on the project today. Well, what's the last thing you asked them to do? And
move forward.
Serious, right? So fast forward, you're at the negotiating table, you close the sale. They're literally filling out the paperwork and the homeowner's thanking you for not being high pressure like the other salesperson was.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you influence that entire decision. So that's the magic of the right one call close system is it makes you over twice as efficient. It makes you way more profitable. You strike while the iron's hot when emotions are running high. Because we know that the second you leave that house, the homeowner retains very little of any of the information that you just spat out at them. I actually heard this in a Brian Tracy book. He said, if you leave that customer's house and try to come back the next day and introduce yourself, 90% of those homeowners won't even remember your name. So how much are they really thinking about it, right? They don't even know who the heck you are. Like, who are you again? Have we met before?
Mm-hmm.
So one call close in most circumstances is by far the most profitable, the most successful, and most ideal way to earn someone's business. It's just got to be done with the right strategy and technique. And that's what's lacking in a lot of organizations.
Okay, so we mentioned the MetalView program a few times. So let's talk a little bit more about what exactly that is, and that Grosso University is a part of MetalView, the entire program.
Yeah. And I just want to say, a big shout out to Mark McDonald and Sharon Williams for giving Grosso University the opportunity to be a part of this. I feel like this is the most revolutionary program that's ever been built in this industry. And of course, having the Sharon Williams stamp of approval, Sharon Williams in the driver's seat of this doesn't hurt. But essentially, this is something that a lot of people have been wanting to do for a long time. They've been wanting to figure out, how can we make metal roofing so turnkey and streamlined that allows the average contractor or all these people that are selling asphalt roofing to transition into selling metal, and not just selling metal, but doing it profitably, making sure they have the support on the front end from phone call to install, lead generation. Do they have the tools and technologies in place and the training to make sure that they're generating as many leads as humanly possible? It's funny, Karen, I talk to some companies where they have a hard time generating leads for 2 or 3 reps. And then I talk to another company in a different territory because they have the technologies and they have the teams and support. They're generating 5,000, 6,000 leads a month in 1 month. It's absolutely insane, right? But we have to have the support and the training. So that's like one of the first things that they set up is, let's make sure you have that lead generating engine, because if you're out of leads, you're out of business. Mm-hmm. Now, Grosso University, of course, plays a really foundational part. Once you have the leads and you get these people calling you or these inbound opportunities, how are you going to handle those leads to maximize the power and effectiveness? So we provide the sales training tools and support. And it's all the way from the in-home presentation that the sales rep delivers at the kitchen table, the training literature, the virtual support, and even working one-on-one with owners and leaders alike to make sure that they're managing their team and we're all speaking the same language correctly. right? So we got all the sales training and business side support. Little things like I was talking about earlier, Karen, where do you have a policy and procedures document, a governing document to hold your sales team accountable? Are you tracking your metrics and KPIs properly? Do you know what those are? Do we know what we should be tracking? Are we maximizing our CRM? Are we involved in the right CRM to run our business and manage it properly? So that's all about the business and operations strategy that we talk about. And of course, financial services. One of the most important things with metal roofing being such a bigger average ticket is we believe strongly that you and your sales team need to have good finance partners, and you need to know how to sell financing proficiently in the home. So in conjunction with the partnerships that are here with the Sherwin-Williams MetalView program, they brought in some of the most rock solid, foundationally strong finance partners you could ever ask for that are going to allow you to sell metal roofing at a high average ticket profitably and not force your salespeople to sell on price and be limited to cash buyers. So we're going to connect you with the right finance partners to make that happen. And I can personally provide the training so you know how to leverage that financing as the boomerang to the sale. Then, of course, the measure and bidding process. So Sherwin-Williams through MetalView and Smart Build and EagleView, all these different companies came together and they created the most sophisticated proposal software the industry has ever seen that can literally quote out and price out and measure your roofing system down to 1/8 of an inch, down to every last screw. So you know that what you're ordering is exactly what you need. It's factoring in for all the cuts and the fabrication, the on-site customization that's required to install metal roofing. They got that all literally down to a science. It's the most accurate proposal software ever created for roofing. And they're using all the latest technologies. And this is one of the most impressive parts. And I know Mark McDonald gets really excited when he talks about this. The back-end support through ToolBelt and helping companies create, recruit, train, and hire installers and crews. This is unlike anything I've ever seen before. So essentially, if you could dream up the menu of everything you would want in like a buffet of how to grow and scale a profitable metal arm of your business, Sherwin-Williams essentially, they did a lot of research. They captured all the best of the best and brought them all right to you on a silver platter and weaved them into this program to make it certain that this is a successful operation for your company.
They did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And I want to say that it starts with, you talked about the partnerships between the metal manufacturers is key. So no matter what manufacturer you're working with, we have a long list. That's where you want to start.
Yeah, and more participating manufacturers are jumping on board this every single day. And we're even forecasting in the future, there could be, dozens and in case even more. But the bottom line is once you become a part of MetalView, and of course you go through a couple, discoveries based on your territory, what your needs, wants, and desires are, we're going to find a participating manufacturer in your area that's going to give you the menu of options and it's going to be the best fit that you're looking for. And once we choose that participating manufacturer, that's where the customization comes in. So we decide on which panels, maybe there's just one premium metal roofing solution you want to offer that they have, or maybe you want a good, better, best system. We're actually going to customize your offering from that participating metal roofing manufacturer. So it's everything that you ever wanted. And then we're going to work along with you step by step to make sure the company's story, the sales training materials, the product offering is all branded for you, the contractor, the end user. So your salespeople can go in the house. We've done all the heavy lifting. They get all the training materials at their disposal. So they know how to use all these wonderful tools to their fullest potential. So it literally couldn't be any better. And like I said, the enthusiasm from these manufacturers and from all the partners involved, they're eager and ready to serve you, to go above and beyond to ensure this is a successful launch, because obviously it benefits them and everyone in the long run. So they onboard an awesome, hungry contractor that's wanting to grow and scale. That contractor gets the proper training. They're selling a lot more metal roofing. It benefits everybody in the program. So. Yeah,
it's fantastic. And I'm just, the more, we keep adding to it, it keeps growing. And we will talk about where to get the information here in just a bit. But I want to focus on what we call the Jumpstart sales program. So talk a little bit about how you get someone going and then what it looks like.
So one of the most common things that I talk about, I do a lot of extreme sales leadership presentations. And one of the topics I focus on is the foundation to grow and scale a sales army, right? I see a lot of companies that they start hiring salespeople, they start getting them out there selling product, and some of them may do pretty well. They may hit like $5-10 million, but then they realize, wow, I don't have really a foundation at all to scale this thing properly. It's kind of getting a little out of control. I got to wrangle it back in. So what the Jumpstart program really is it helps that company build the sales foundational tools and systems they need to grow and scale a sales army properly. So the first thing we start off, we do a discovery to figure out what products and services they offer. And we essentially have a whole team of graphic designers and people that know the Grosso system forwards and backwards that go through and build a masterful presentation for you for your specific products and services following our Grosso sales methodology. So it follows the psychology of the in-home sale and how human beings make decisions. After we create this masterful presentation, we also give you a company branded workbook. So you have all the sales training literature, the scripts, the methodology, all documented in writing. It's all branded just for you. And then we schedule a virtual training, We schedule a virtual training with your team. So we don't just give you this presentation and say, good luck. We personally take your team through slide by slide, the entire in-home presentation, and train your team how to use that presentation to its fullest capacity. What people love is then we record that video training, and our team of editors, we got a multimedia team of editors that just create content. They edit that video training and they house it on a platform for you. So now what you have is your own personalized and customized video training series with in-home presentation. So you can essentially onboard and train salespeople. It's almost like manufacturing or printing your own money. And it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And then for ongoing stuff, we have our online training platform. We can build in testing and curriculum. So essentially, you have not only the sales training videos, but you can use that as a means to train and test salespeople out. So then they become certified to sell your specific product or service. Not only is this a great tool when you have a sales professional in your organization, but what I found, Karen, from my experience is when you're interviewing an all-star salesperson, you can show them this stuff, your training Bible, your online video training series, all the supporting tools and the curriculum. It's highly professional, it's highly impressive, and you're going to be able to reel in those sales superstars that are looking for their next career with a professional company. So that's just a little overview of what the Jumpstart is. And of course, there's a lot more we can talk about, but literally any product or service you can think of course, the headline here is metal roofing. But literally for any product or service you have, whether it be windows, siding, baths, masonry finishing, kitchens, you name it. We've done sunrooms and decking and basement waterproofing, you name it. We can build custom presentations for all that stuff. That's going to give your sales team the tools they need to succeed.
Talk to me a little bit about, and we didn't talk about this the other day, what kind of acceptance do you have a hard time when you're going into a company that has no system and they've got a sales team that's just doing their own thing? What's the reception like?
So the reception's phenomenal. Obviously, I get a lot of veteran salespeople that have been doing this for 20, 30 years that are set in their ways. And the thing I explain is, I'm a big pragmatist here. If you're doing something that's working for you, for God's sakes, keep doing it. If you're doing something it's highly effective in the house, keep doing it. However, what I can tell you is if you can keep an open mind and listen to what we have to say here, you're going to learn something that's not necessarily going to change everything you're doing, but it will help you sell that 1 or 2 extra sales a week that you're not currently getting. So then I break it down. How much is your average sale? How much would 1 or 2 sales a week add to your bottom line? If you can keep an open mind and learn a few golden nuggets to help you sell a couple leads, is that worth your time? Obviously it is, right? So if I could put $150,000 in front of you right now, and all you had to do was listen to this new sales system and take a couple notes, it's clearly worth your time. But what I do with companies to get the veterans to believe in the system, this is my number one strategy, is we crank up the recruiting efforts. They start hiring a bunch of new green salespeople. From the day they start, they get them on the Grosso system or the sales methodology. And when those veterans see the new salespeople selling rings around them, and this is what happens in a lot of organizations. Sometimes you do get these toxic veterans where they put up decent numbers, but they don't have the greatest attitudes. When they see that rookie selling circles around them, then they start to open up their minds like, hey, maybe I should probably learn what this guy's doing or this gal's doing so I can up my game. So that's one of the greatest ways to get a veteran to increase, basically raise the bar and get hungry, because they still have an ego and they're still competitive. So when you can train that new guy to be the top performer, then all of a sudden you see the veteran slowly embracing the new sales methodology over time.
Excellent.
You got to keep recruiting though. We always say always be recruiting, especially now with this new system, this foundation. You're going to be able to recruit and train and hire people at a much larger scale.
What's the time frame look like? Hey, I've decided I want to do this. I want to start working with you guys. What's the time frame look like to get set up and going?
Yeah, I mean, for us to do like a full Jumpstart presentation, usually just takes a couple of weeks. Now I can tell you that when I was at Mad City growing that team on my own, I had to learn a lot of things through trial and error. There was nobody offering to do this for me. I would have taken that in a heartbeat. But this is something literally I spent hundreds of hours trying to do on my own, between the training literature, the workbooks, the presentations, the in-home presentations, all the supporting tools. So we're basically handing all over that, all that stuff over to silver platter. And because we've done this so many times, we're able to expedite this down to a couple of weeks to get it fully built out for you. And then we can set up that training immediately after. So it's surprising to people how quickly we can get this stuff built. But that's the name of the game. That way you can focus on working on your business versus in your business. So how much would it cost you to take one of your sales leads, or even worse, you personally, to sit down and build all these things from scratch, right? So it'd take forever. And then you factor in how much money that's basically costing your business. For what we're charging on the Jumpstart, it's literally pennies on the dollar compared to what it would cost to do this on your own. And obviously you're getting us training your team, which again, I'm sure there's a lot of competitive salespeople on the call right now, a lot of great trainers, but this is all we do. We live and breathe training. We spend 24/7 training reps. So let us do the heavy lifting for you, get the presentation, the supporting tools. And that's also true with this whole MetalView program. Once you sign on, become a part of MetalView, literally within a couple of weeks, you're rocking and rolling. You could be out there selling metal roofs, following the system.
Yeah. And we touched on this earlier about how the program works, and it really is an all-encompassing. It covers all parts. And I know when Dom and I talked the other day, he was really excited because this has not been done before in the industry, and it pretty much is giving you everything that you need to be successful and make more money. That's what we want, make more money with metal.
So here's the thing everyone should write down: volumes for vanity and profits for sanity. So a lot of companies don't like to admit this, but the average profit, the average net profit of the average contractor is 3%. So our Grosso trained companies, our goal is a minimum of 15% net profit. And we have people in our organizations at 20, 25% net profit. So now think of the volume we did last year and put those types of net profit numbers out there and see what that does to your bottom line, if that's worth it to you. And you're doing your client a service by being profitable, because now you're going to be in business. You can provide better service. You can treat them like royalty. You can attract better quality installers, making sure they're properly trained and compensated so you can retain them longer. All the other departments that make a company grow and thrive, all the other tools and materials, the river and stream in which all that stuff stems from, is a profitable business. So that's why we don't apologize for being more profitable. We brag about it. But profits for sanity. So I'd rather do 10 million at a 20% profit than 50 million at a 3% profit. So that's just a different way of thinking, but we give you the foundational tools. And of course, through MetalView, they provide all the tools you would need to make that happen.
Yeah. So we want to hear from you guys. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If you visit metalcoffeeshop.com and type in MetalView on the search bar, you will find a directory that has all the information about the MetalView program. You'll be able to see that diagram that is over Dom's shoulder there that he's been referencing throughout. the webinar. And Grosso University is also in a directory listing on metalcoffeeshop.com. So you can find out how to contact them there and get all the information that you need to start making more money with metal and selling metal more profitably.
Yeah, and here's one thing I just wanted to mention too. If you become a part of this program, of course, we have all the foundational tools, but Grosso University also has what's called the Sales Academy. And this is a Sales Academy masterclass. So what this means is if you like what you hear, however, are not able to take the time to train and implement this stuff, every second Monday of every month, so beginning the second Monday of every month, we essentially start a brand new Sales Academy, which is a 2-week virtual training. We take all salespeople through where they go through the whole Grosso methodology step by step. We test them out, we certify them, and then we place them back into your organization with a performance guarantee. And then, of course, after that, they get one-on-one training and support and make sure that all the customization is taken care of. But essentially, we can become the entire training arm of your business. That way you don't have to worry, if you have someone in your organization that does the training already, we can help them implement the system. If you don't have that trainer, don't worry, we can do the training as well. So no matter what your needs are, from phone call to install, presentation creation, training, we can take care of all that stuff for you. So it makes it super easy to implement. And that way, that every sales rep that comes into your organization is getting the world-class training they need. So I'll throw that out there. So go to www.grossuniversity.com. We got all of our programs outlined in there. Of course, we got the MetalView program there. And again, easy ways to contact us, set up some time. We'd be happy to go through our different offerings and how we can help you.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dom, for taking the time to share with us what Grosso University has put together. It's an amazing program. We're excited that you're part of MetalView, that you are on Metal Coffee Shop. And we invite you guys to this. Like I said, this will be up within a few hours on our site. You can watch it on demand. Please share it with people that may find it interesting or you think would benefit from it. And also on metalcoffeeshop.com, we have other metal talks. Dom mentioned EagleView and the technologies for estimating. There's information about that out there. So thank you for joining us today. And we hope to see you next month. We do these every month, and we're featuring all folks that are involved in the MetalView program and can help you grow your metal business and sell metal roofing more profitably. And scale your business as well. So thanks for being here today. Thank you, Dom. Appreciate it very much.
Everyone. Thank you, Karen. It's an honor and privilege to be on your show, and we appreciate it getting in front of your audience here to share the information.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.